Our problem, and the problem anywhere in the world, what they judge is how much revenue, our tax revenue, goes towards payment of debt. In our laws, our constitution, hii katiba, which we must linda properly, hii katiba, it is clear that it is our tax revenue that pays debt, right? It pays all recurrent expenditure, and debt is an item of recurrent. Now, if you are getting to particular percentages of that debt, of that tax revenue going to debt, that is how you judge sustainability. So just like your home, if you're earning 10,000 shillings and 5,000 is going to debt, how are you living on 5,000? You see, that's 50%. Currently, we are at 91%. So 90 shillings of every 100 is going to debt. So we have 10 shillings, 9 shillings, 10 shillings to pay for all other recurrent expenditure. That is for the salaries of government, for operations, all these jet flights you see Ruto taking, petrol in police cars, right? The counties, because that's another first charge, right? County money, pensions, they all come from that. So you end up borrowing to pay recurrent expenditure because the 9 shillings that's left of 100 is not enough, right? So you go to double your tax revenue to borrow to pay for recurrent expenditure, which in our laws is illegal. They say you cannot borrow for recurrent expenditure. You can't borrow to pay salaries. Now, we passed that threshold a long time ago. When William Ruto took power in 2022, it was 65 to 70 shillings going to debt. Now it is 91. So it tells you it's not sustainable, right? So this is the question we must ask ourselves. How long will this last? This year it is 2.4 trillion. Next year is 2.6. The following year is 2.8. I can give you the figures until 2040. They'll make you weep. And somehow they want to tell you that there is still money to borrow. It's fake. It's fake. They borrowed domestic market 7 trillion. Where are they getting it from? Where is this money in the domestic market? How? How? It's now paper. Domestic debt is not anchored in our laws. It is not passed by parliament. And as I said recently, buyer beware. That is part of odious debt. And when it's odious debt, Kenyans will not pay it because we are anchored by this. This is where our sovereignty is anchored. Mr. John Bandi was trying to say, I'm saying we're going to default. I'm not talking about default. I'm talking about not paying illegal debt. That is cancellation of illegal debt. Is he proposing that we pay what entered people's pockets? I mean, he's a joker. The law says you borrow for development. Can you show us what 4 trillion has done in development for it to be legal? Because they tried to say that it's legal. Show us what 4 trillion has done in development. Anyone who voted for increase of our taxes should be forgiven kabisa, out. And remember, I have always held the view that in 2024, when they didn't listen to Kenyans, they cancelled themselves out as an institution. This government is a big joke. They have been talking about samurai bonds since 2023. We've never seen them. CG what bond, CG what bond, CG what bond. Recently, even this minister said they're getting World Bank emergency money. What has World Bank done? See, they said no. Anybody who's loaning a country looks at the balance sheet. Who's going to loan a country where 90% of your revenue is going to debt? We are bankrupt. Anybody looking at the books. In fact, the only way somebody will give us money is not on the basis of loans. They will give us money on the basis that we are such a basket case, that let's just give to them because they are dying. Yeah. There's nothing else here. Yeah. The numbers are clear. Yeah. Government last year, this year I've seen they've avoided talking about what are called financial assets. Domestic financial assets. What are the financial assets in the market? What are our pension funds, our insurance funds? What's in our banks? What's in the capital markets? What are called financial assets? Last year, they said that it is 8.83 trillion. Okay? 8.83. This year, I haven't seen the figure yet. So let's say 9 trillion, right? The government to date has taken 7 trillion of that 9 trillion. They also say in the market that they have loaned to the private sector over the years 4 trillion of that 9 trillion. That takes you to 11 trillion. Where did they get it from? Because if you have 9, how do you go to 11? So it looks like there's 2 here that has been printed. So this money doesn't exist anymore.
It's just in theory.
It's in theory. So this is paper money. You're exchanging notes. Okay? There's no cash behind it. So understand how it can blow up. It doesn't exist anymore. 60% of your revenue, what your incomes are, I want you to understand, Diana, right, is going to tax, directly and indirectly, right? That is equivalent to somebody in France. Okay, yes. That is equivalent to somebody in France. But what do the French get for it? They get free education to university. They get free healthcare. They get very good roads, infrastructure, trains, everything. You get very good security. In fact, there is a timing. When you make a call to the police, how quickly do they come? Right? You get unemployment insurance when you're out of a job. They sustain your payment of rent and food in your house. Right? The Bato is a very good pension. At 55, now they've changed it to 65, you get a pension, you live like a king. And everyone's looking forward to that. All right? You want cancer surgery, you go to a hospital, you don't pay a thing. For 60% of their tax revenue. Why you see even chaos in France once in a while is because you're trying to change the parameter. You're either changing the pension age, and people want to go and enjoy their retirement with this good money that they've contributed to, or you are unable because they've had a migrant population that is putting pressure on taxes. You've had an older population, you don't have a younger population. So you're trying to change to maybe 62%, trying to raise taxes, and people go crazy, right? So services are depreciating. So we are of the view that Kenyans now must start enjoying their sweat. Don't you agree with me?
I do.
Yes, there must be a return for this contribution. Yeah, it can't continue like this. And why we will not get it is because it's going towards debt. So we don't have sovereignty of what we are producing. Until we attain that sovereignty, right, we will not get benefit. Action is not going to be done in Parliament. We know the problems there, even those who support what we are saying have got, right? Action is only being taken outside, all right? That is what William Ruto will listen to. Action is only going to be taken at the ballot next year when we boot out all these characters. The alternative budget is you can't do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. That's the problem I had with the opposition's budget. It is not different to William Ruto's, okay? And I say categorically, when I look at the opposition budget, I'm shocked. I don't think they factored in debt payment in their numbers. You are not going to be able to lower tax. By next year, 100% of our tax revenue is going to payment of debt. So what are you lowering? Where are you going to get the balance from? More borrowing. They even propose borrowing. And it's not even going to be enough what they're proposing. Okay? My alternate budget and that of Safina's is very clear. We shall not pay the debt. The debt we have today, and we've done an audit over and over, and we're doing every year, is not legal to Kenyans. So in government, the Safina government will immediately suspend all debt payments so that now we do an official debt audit for Kenyans. Isije munasema ni audit ya Jimi, inakuwa audit ya serikali. So we suspend payment. All right? When we suspend payment, anybody, anyone who feels he's a creditor will give us the time. Don't expect a new government to take on something that is odious. If it is not in our laws, it is not the responsibility of that government to take it on. What is there? We say sawa. We estimate that within 3 to 6 months, right, we'll have an audit to show Kenyans. And I tell you this, Diana, because it's important to recognize Ruto promised an audit. Have you ever seen one? Honorable John Bandi promised an audit when he became CS. Have you seen one? No. Nobody wants to do an audit. So we shall do an audit. So we suspended payments. We believe it is all odious. We wait to be proven wrong, in a sense. So we that year will have a saving of 2.8 trillion. So our budget is this, that year, nobody shall ever reach into their pocket to pay for public primary school, public high school, right? And any TVET program. We've estimated that to be about 300 billion shillings. We're rounding off. Okay? Remember, we have 2.8. Count. 2.8 minus 300, you have 2.5. Correct? We have seen the costings, and we'll say that they must be fairly accurate, the ones of SHA. That universal health care costs 180 billion. Round it off to 200. Okay? Nobody shall pay for SHA or SHIF, whatever they want to call it, anymore. So your ID guarantees you medical care. You're paying for it from your taxes. Okay? There's no other levy. That is another 200. What are you left with? 2.3. Correct? Then we looked at VAT. VAT collects roughly 420, 430 billion. I'm even saying, let's say it takes 500 billion, right? VAT is one of the biggest causes of the high cost of living. All right? So we are saying we will scrap it. We'll scrap VAT and introduce a 5% sales tax, which gives back into the pocket of Kenyans 11%. Okay? Right? Now, that effectively removes something like 300 billion, right, from the Kenya Revenue Authority, that Kenyans remain within their pocket. So we are now at 2 trillion. Now, I want you to imagine that is 800 billion that Kenyans are now taking out, that now remains in your pocket. Now you can do other things with it. Okay? And the government now has 2 trillion. That takes care of salaries, it takes care of counties, it takes care of operations, it takes care of pensions, and it immediately gives a major catalyst, about 250 to 300 billion for development. So we become what is called a true sovereign state, right? We need nobody. We don't need to borrow, right? We are self-sufficient. And that catalyzes one other thing. We don't borrow from the domestic market, which means, Diana, you can now go for a mortgage for your house. Watch here affordable housing nonsense business here. You go for a mortgage for the property you want at probably a single-digit rate of maybe 3%. You're paying over, let's say, 20, 25 years. Okay? Mortgages in this country, do you know how many mortgages we have? 28,000. It's that low. Okay? You have 4.4 million people that work formally, and only 28,000 mortgages since independence. Yes, it's very sad. Imagine if you doubled it, right? So these are the opportunities we intend to unleash, right? Later on, as we go into the campaign, we'll roll out more in terms of manifesto. But that would be our budget, okay? Where Kenyans now start seeing the value of the 60% contribution, which I think we are going to reduce with the VAT aspect. They start seeing the value of their contribution for taxation, the return for it. I believe anybody who supported the 2024 finance bill, even after the outcry of Kenyans and the killings of our sons and daughters, has no moral authority. no moral authority to tell us where we are going. Yes.
So he's on a
You are cancelled by Kenyans. And you need to understand this is a turning curve. The pendulum has shifted. Yeah? Kenyans actually do want their true sovereignty. Right? This thing has shifted. Don't try and bring back old methods of politics to sustain your position.
Okay.
All right, legacy politics. I am not for those legacy politics. This is not a tribal issue, for example, to me. It is a Kenyan issue. Right? All of us, Diana, are Kenyans.
Yes.
Damu moja. Okay? Nobody chose their tribe. Nobody chose their gender. Correct? Did we choose to be born in Kenya? Hii yote ni ya Mungu. Correct? So those are not the things you happen. You don't happen those things. You happen other things.
All right.
Okay? Are we on the same page?
Yes.
Yes. You happen ideas, creativity, innovative. Get us out of this problem. I don't hear them talk about debt. Whoever becomes president, because that is, God is the one who can see. All right? Is going to face the same problem William Ruto is facing today, that he has no money. So how are you going to solve it? Don't tell us you're going to stop the theft. Quantify the theft then. You don't remove this debt and you don't quantify it as theft. You're going nowhere. You're lying to Kenyans again.
All right.
Yes.
So,
Also tell me that Deputy President, were they part of the hustler team?
yes.
Have you ever quoted him saying that Mama Mboga will get money? Did he used to say that himself or was he just Ruto?
No, he used to.
He used to? I can't remember. So did Mama Mboga get money in the 2 years he was there? Okay, so this is an arena, let's be serious. As all Kenyans, including him, let us be very serious. This is people's lives. Okay? Let's not try and put it as something else. These are Kenyan lives we are talking about. I'm not going to go into this election lying that things are rosy. They are not. I have a how-to remove their problems. There are those who think I'm radical. There are those who think I'm extreme. There are those who thought, fine. Go and vote for the others. If you think they're the ones who have a solution for you, good luck. We'll be right back here.
Okay.
Right? If you want to keep paying school fees, primary and high school, and Tibet, Ruto is there. Correct? If you keep wanting to pay SHA, Ruto is there. If you keep wanting to pay VAT and more taxes, Ruto is there. If you don't want to pay those things, Jimmy is here. Right?
Yes.
If you think I have radical ideas, yes. This is a radical moment. As far as I'm concerned, William Ruto got cancelled when we rejected the Finance Bill 2024. He got cancelled. And he got rejected. Because once people say no to a government's ability to get taxes from you, they are telling you, we don't want you. If this was a Western democracy, all right, that government normally resigns and seeks a fresh mandate to come in. Okay? And it's happened even in the recent past, even in the UK. You had a prime minister who took a budget and people rejected her tax measures and she quit. All right? So it happens. So William Ruto, really, okay, you're trying to hang on, okay, forcing yourself on us. And this is where I criticize my friends in the opposition. You choose to play in his corner with legacy politics of tribe, sijui nini. No. He is a better master of it than any of you can be. Come to the issues that have defeated him. All right? Not tribal conglomerations. Come to the issues that unite all of us. The pain we are feeling in our pocket. Right? The lack of opportunities for our children, jobs. Right? Our lack of economic sovereignty. Okay? The despair that is coming out of it, from mental illness to suicides, to depression, to femicide. You know, those are the biggest catalysts is the economy. You can draw all the ills. Come to this arena and we'll all defeat him. But you go in his politics, your tribe, nanini, you are going to, you're spoiling it. You're giving him life. Here's where he was conquered.